Discussing the incessant noise our minds make brings to mind those internal conversations that seem never-ending. Worries, fears, the famous what-ifs. They fill every corner of our thoughts, creating a cycle from which we often can't escape and that frequently paralyzes us. In today's world, where we are bombarded with distractions at every turn and demands seem endless, finding some mental peace has become quite a challenge. This is where Stoicism emerges as a true mental compass. Because deep down, Stoicism isn't just about enduring hardships. It's about finding a way to navigate, to remain steady in these rough seas, and to discover that much-desired peace when it seems the world around us wants to drag us down. These simple new strategies, so deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, can offer us a path. They are not magic tricks, but principles of life that the great sages of antiquity practiced every day, and that we can apply today, even in a world that seems so different. Let's dive in. Firstly, embrace what is without resistance. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is exactly this radical acceptance of reality as it is. Sometimes life doesn't go as planned, and it's in these moments that our brain fills with frustration, anger, or sadness. But this is where the Stoics offer us a new perspective. Instead of fighting what we can't change, we should accept what is as it is. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, brilliantly captured this idea by saying, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." The internal resistance to what happens generates significant mental discomfort. Think about how many times you've been upset about something that's already passed, or a situation that didn't go as you planned. We resist reality because we want things to be different, and this desire to change the unchangeable creates a continual tension. It's like rowing against the tide, spending all our energy going in the opposite direction of what's happening. Accepting what is doesn't mean being passive or giving up on things ever changing. It's about recognizing that there are moments in life that we can't control or alter. Acceptance is a way to release that consuming resistance, and by doing so, our mind calms down. It's about stopping the fight against reality and starting to flow with it. Sometimes we resist because we think accepting something negative means we agree with it or are letting it affect us. But, in truth, acceptance is a way to create mental space. By accepting what's happening, you take away the power it has over you, and from that calm place, you can think more clearly and make better decisions. A simple example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and realize you're going to be late for an important meeting. You have two options. You can resist mentally, curse the traffic, feel frustrated and stressed, which changes nothing, or you can accept that you're in this situation and it is what it is. The first option generates a lot of unnecessary mental noise, while the second gives you the mental peace needed to handle the situation in the best way possible. Acceptance is like a muscle we can develop. Every time you find yourself in a situation you can't change, remember Seneca's words and ask yourself, am I letting this drag me, or can I allow it to guide me? By accepting what you can't change, you reduce mental friction, and as a result, your mind calms down. Marcus Aurelius also understood this very well when he said, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make of it." If you resist change, you constantly face frustration. But if you accept it as part of life, you find an unexpected calm. Because life is not what happens around us, but how we decide to interpret and react to it. Accepting what is without resistance is one of the most powerful ways to calm your mind. It frees you from unnecessary stress, the mental pain of wanting things to be different, and allows you to focus on what truly matters, your attitude and actions in the face of what happens around you. Now let's see a fascinating approach from Stoicism. The power of focusing on the present. One of the most famous philosopher-emperors, known for his deep reflections, wrote in his meditations, "Humans wear themselves out by allowing their minds to wander between what has already happened or what is yet to come. The present is the only thing we should firmly grasp." This is a lesson that, despite seeming simple, can completely transform our way of living. Why? Because our minds tend to oscillate between two poles, the past and the future. Frequently, we find ourselves trapped in thoughts about things that have already happened. Why did I say that? Or I should have done it differently. Or we worry about what might happen. What if I fail? Or what if things don't go as I hope? This constant mental back and forth exhausts us, generates anxiety, and robs us of peace. The Stoic key is to concentrate on the present moment, as it is the only thing that truly exists and over which we have some influence. Everything else is a creation of the mind, shadows of something we can no longer change, or anticipations of what is yet to come. The magic is here. The more time we spend focused on what is not present, the more we distance ourselves from mental peace. Practicing mindfulness or attention focus means repeatedly bringing your mind back to the current moment. This doesn't mean you should ignore the past or the future, but rather that you learn to notice when you're getting lost in them and consciously bring your attention back to the now. It's a daily exercise, and at first it may seem difficult, since our minds are so accustomed to wandering. However, the more you practice, the more you realize how powerful this tool is for calming the mind. Consider those moments when you are completely absorbed by something. It could be an engaging conversation, a book that captivates you, or even something as simple as savoring a meal without distractions. In those moments, your mind is calm, without worries, because you are fully present in what you are doing. This is the essence of this strategy. A simple method to start practicing is to pay attention to your breathing. When you feel your mind filling with thoughts about the past or future, stop for a moment and take a deep breath. Focus on the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. This anchors you in the present. Marcus Aurelius also addressed this. Pay attention to what is in front of you, to the tasks you have at this moment. When you learn to train your mind to return to the present, something extraordinary happens. All that mental noise begins to diminish. The thoughts don't disappear, but they no longer drag you with the same force. In the present, there's no space for regrets about the past or anxiety about the future. There is only what you are doing at this very moment, and this provides a sense of calm and control that is hard to achieve otherwise. In essence, the practice of mindfulness helps interrupt those endless cycles of thoughts that fill your mind with unnecessary noise. By bringing your attention back to the present, you find that the here and now is enough. And when your mind stabilizes in the present moment, that's when you truly find mental peace. Exploring the concept of emotional detachment, we find one of the most powerful tools of Stoicism, capable of transforming our view of the world. And it's not about becoming an insensitive or distant person. Quite the contrary, Stoic detachment involves loving intensely, committing to people and situations, but without letting your happiness depend exclusively on what is outside your control. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, expressed this clearly. Love, but as someone who knows it will not last forever. At first glance, this may sound harsh, but the goal is, in fact, liberating. When we cling too much to a person, an object, or an idea of the future, we end up becoming hostages of it. And when something inevitably changes, attachment brings us unnecessary suffering. What does it mean, then, to practice emotional detachment? It means living fully, valuing what you have and the relationships you've built, but without holding on to the idea that without these things, you cannot be happy. How many times have you experienced anxiety or suffering because of the fear of losing something? A job, a relationship, an opportunity? This emotional dependency fills us with fear, and when reality doesn't align with our expectations, suffering is inevitable. Detachment is not a form of indifference. It is a path to free yourself from the control external outcomes have over your well-being. The Stoics teach us that it is possible to love deeply, but also understand that everything is transient. When you practice this kind of detachment, the mind calms down because you are no longer constantly worried about what you might lose. You live the present with gratitude, but without the expectation of permanence. Think of attachment to material goods, for example. Let's say you have a car you love. It's normal to take care of it and value it, but if the attachment is excessive, the slightest scratch or mechanical problem can ruin your day. Practicing detachment would be recognizing, I value this car, but I know it's just an object, and if tomorrow I no longer have it, I'll be okay. This not only frees you from anxiety, but also offers a more balanced view of your possessions. Epictetus, another Stoic sage, said, Never say about anything I lost it, but rather I returned it. This teaches us that everything in life is temporary and that, instead of seeing losses as something taken from us, we can see them as a natural part of life, something we simply return to the cycle of things. This mindset transforms the way we deal with losses, whether big or small. As you begin to practice emotional detachment, you notice that situations that were once filled with anxiety or stress begin to lose their power. It's not that you become indifferent, but that these situations no longer have control over your mental peace. You discover that true happiness and tranquility come from within, not from the possessions or people around you. Detachment offers extraordinary mental freedom. By not emotionally clinging to outcomes, you start to enjoy life more fully, more present, without the constant worry of losing what you love. And it is in this freedom that true calm reveals itself. Let's explore the powerful practice of daily reflection, a Stoic technique that can change the way we live. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great philosopher-emperors, made this a routine in his meditations, writing about his thoughts, actions, and how he dealt with the day's difficulties. It wasn't just a common habit, but an essential tool for continuous improvement. He reflected, "At the end of the day, take stock of yourself and examine your actions. What did I do wrong? What did I do well? What can I improve?" This habit is one of the best ways to calm the mind and direct it toward constant growth. Why is this so crucial? Our minds are often loaded with noise, not just from what happens around us, but also from our own lack of internal clarity. We live on autopilot, repeating the same mistakes, reacting in predictable ways, without stopping to think about why. Daily reflection offers us a chance to pause, observe our behavior, and take control of our thoughts and actions. Imagine, at the end of each day, before going to bed, setting aside a few minutes to reflect on your actions. It's not a matter of harsh self-criticism, but of honest and curious observation. How did you handle difficult situations? Were there moments of lost calm? Did you make decisions you are proud of? This simple act of reviewing your day helps you understand yourself better and identify behavior patterns that may be causing stress or mental unrest. Seneca, another great Stoic, also advocated for this practice. He said, "At the end of the day, be your own judge. Write everything down, examine your words and thoughts, for each day is a whole life." By performing this self-assessment, you become more aware of yourself and more able to adjust your focus when things don't go as expected. Additionally, this reflection not only helps identify mistakes, but also celebrate small victories. We live in a world that moves so fast that we often overlook the good things we do. Reflecting allows for recognizing those moments when you maintained calm, made a good decision, or acted wisely. These small acknowledgments are essential to reinforce your mental tranquility and build a stronger and more balanced mind. Start with simplicity. Every night, dedicate a few minutes to think about your day. If you prefer, write in a journal, as Marcus Aurelius did. This not only helps process your thoughts, but also offers a space to release worries that might still be lingering in your mind before sleeping. It's a way to clear your mind of any residual stress and start the next day with a clearer and calmer mind. A useful exercise is to ask yourself 3 things each night. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? How can I improve tomorrow? By doing this, you not only train yourself to be more present and aware of your actions, but also provide your mind with a sense of closure at the end of the day. This helps release mental noise and promotes more restful sleep, as you don't go to bed with unresolved thoughts. This habit of daily reflection, when practiced consistently, creates a cycle of continuous improvement. It helps correct mistakes, strengthen your decisions, and keep your mind focused on what truly matters. Additionally, it provides a sense of control over your life and emotions, reducing stress and anxiety. Let's delve into the powerful Stoic idea of controlling our thoughts instead of allowing them to control us. The ancient Stoics had remarkable wisdom in understanding that the root of an agitated and anxious mind is not in external circumstances, but in how we interpret them. Epictetus, one of the great masters of this philosophy, expressed it brilliantly. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. This phrase perfectly captures the power we have over our minds. Although we can't always control what happens around us, we have the power to choose how to respond, and it begins with our thoughts. Think of your mind as a garden. If we don't take care of it, weeds, that is, negative thoughts, fears, and worries can quickly take over. It's easy to let negative thoughts spiral out of control. A small mistake or setback can launch us into a spiral of self-criticism or catastrophizing. Everything is going wrong. I'll never be able to fix this. I'm a failure. These thoughts generate unnecessary mental noise, and before we know it, our mind is plunged into chaos. The Stoic key is learning to observe your thoughts with distance, almost as an observer. You don't need to believe everything that passes through your mind. Epictetus also reminds us, men are not disturbed by things, but by the opinion they have of them. This invites us to pause and question the automatic thoughts that cause us distress. Is it really as bad as I think? Is there another way to interpret the situation? Controlling your thoughts doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring them, but questioning them and redirecting them in a more constructive way. Whenever you feel your mind filling with negative or overwhelming thoughts, ask yourself, is this thought helping me or worsening the situation? If the answer is that it's making things worse, you have the power to change it, to focus on something more helpful or positive. This is where the Stoics introduce the idea of the discipline of thought. This discipline is a habit built over time and involves training your mind so it doesn't dominate you with uncontrollable thoughts. Think of your mind as a wild horse. At first, it may be difficult to direct it, but with patience and practice, you can take the reins and guide it where you want. A useful exercise you can practice is Stoic reframing. When faced with a negative or stressful thought, try to reframe it from a more objective perspective. For example, if you're facing a problem at work, instead of thinking, I'll never be able to solve this, you could reframe it to, this is a challenge, but I can learn something from it. By doing this, you reduce the power of negative thoughts and calm your mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, also spoke about this ability to control our thoughts. He said, your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. This means that what you think directly affects how you feel. If you fill your mind with dark or negative thoughts, your life will seem that way. But if you learn to guide your thoughts to something more constructive and rational, your mind will begin to find peace. By controlling your thoughts, you not only reduce mental noise but also become more self-aware. You realize you have the power to choose how to react to any situation, and this realization is liberating. We can't always change what happens, but we can change the narrative our mind creates about it. Let's talk about the importance of intentional pauses throughout the day, a practice that can transform the way we manage our mind and energy. In modern society, we are constantly submerged in a sea of stimuli. Messages, emails, social media, tasks that seem endless. Without realizing it, we get lost in the frantic pace of life, where taking a break seems almost impossible or even unnecessary. However, the Stoics teach us something valuable. Pauses are not a luxury, but a necessity to keep the mind calm and focused. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasized the importance of taking moments for oneself amid chaos, stating, people seek retreats in the countryside, by the sea, or in the mountains, but where they should most retreat is within themselves. This phrase invites us to find moments of pause and introspection amid the hustle and bustle of daily life. You don't need to withdraw from the world to find calm. You can do this at any moment, simply by allowing yourself to stop. Why are these pauses crucial? Because when we keep going without stopping, our mind becomes overloaded. We become less productive, more irritable, and our thinking becomes confused. The pauses, even if brief, allow your mind to breathe. It's like giving your brain a break, a chance to recharge and reorganize. A practical Stoic technique is the conscious pause. At regular intervals throughout the day, pause for a few minutes, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and be quiet. It doesn't have to be something complex, just being present with yourself. This pause can last just a few minutes, but the impact on your mind is remarkable. It acts as a reset button for the brain, calming the mental noise and bringing you back to the present. Additionally, taking intentional pauses makes you more aware of your actions. Instead of reacting automatically to situations, you can take a moment to consider your response. Epictetus said, "When faced with any difficulty, pause before acting and reflect." This brief pause before reacting not only calms the mind, but also allows for a more thoughtful and less impulsive action. Think of a stressful situation at work, like dealing with a large workload or a difficult conversation with a colleague. Instead of letting stress dominate you, take an intentional pause. Stop, breathe deeply, and give yourself a moment to center. This way you choose how to respond instead of being carried away by emotions. These pauses also allow you to reconnect with yourself. Often, we lose ourselves in external expectations and demands, forgetting what we really need. Pauses let you check how you're feeling, how your body is, and what your mind needs. It's an act of self-care that, although simple, has a profound impact on your overall well-being. In summary, these intentional pauses are essential for recharging your mind, increasing your clarity, and providing the calm needed to face the day more balanced and productively. Let's explore the Stoic practice of cultivating gratitude for the small things, a powerful tool to calm the mind that often goes unnoticed. The Stoics understood that gratitude goes beyond a simple gesture of courtesy. It is a mental habit capable of completely transforming the way we perceive life. Seneca expressed this idea clearly and deeply. It is not the person who has little, but the person who always wants more who is poor. In other words, our discontent comes more from focusing on what we lack than from recognizing what we already have. Frequently, mental noise is fueled by the incessant desire to have more, be more, achieve things we feel we lack. We live in a culture that constantly bombards us with the idea that we are never enough and always need something more to be happy. This generates chronic dissatisfaction that keeps us in a constant state of agitation. However, gratitude, this simple act of appreciating what we already have, acts as an antidote to this mentality. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring problems or being complacent. On the contrary, it's training the mind to recognize the good things that are already present in your life, no matter how small. The Stoics believed that by learning to value what we already possess, we reduce the noise of dissatisfaction and find a deeper calm. Marcus Aurelius said, "Remember that you don't need much to live a happy life." A simple yet powerful exercise you can incorporate into your routine is to dedicate a few minutes each day to reflect on the things you are grateful for. It doesn't have to be something complicated or grand. It can be as simple as having a roof over your head, a loyal friend, or the coffee you enjoyed in the morning. When you consciously acknowledge these small joys, your perspective begins to change, and with it, your mind calms down. Imagine that whenever you feel overwhelmed by problems or stress, instead of focusing on what's missing, you shift your focus to what you already have. It's a 180-degree shift. For example, if you're worried about financial issues, instead of fixating on what you don't have, you could reflect on what you've already achieved, the opportunities you've received, or even the simple fact of having enough to eat and dress. While this doesn't magically solve problems, it takes you out of the cycle of negative thoughts that generate anxiety and allows you to see things more clearly. Gratitude also has the power to transform your relationships with people. Often, we focus on what others don't do for us, what annoys or disappoints us, which amplifies the emotional noise in our minds. However, if we practice gratitude for the small things people do, relationships improve and you feel more at peace. Ultimately, gratitude is a way of accepting that while things aren't perfect, there's much we can be thankful for. Seneca also reminds us that gratitude should not just be an internal feeling, but something we should express. Telling the people around you how grateful you are for their presence or what they've done for you not only strengthens your relationships, but also calms your mind, creating an environment of appreciation and positivity. Let's explore the Stoic practice of letting go of the past, one of the greatest sources of mental liberation we can cultivate. Often, we cling to the mistakes we've made, the opportunities we've missed, or the hurts we've experienced. Our minds get stuck in an endless cycle, reliving what we can no longer change. By doing so, we generate an emotional and mental burden that is completely unnecessary. The Stoics had a clear vision of this. Epictetus wisely reminds us, "What happened cannot be changed, but how you deal with it depends entirely on you. Letting go of the past doesn't mean ignoring it or pretending it never happened. It's about accepting what was and understanding that there's nothing more we can do to change it. The past is immutable, and the energy we spend thinking about what could have been only generates more stress and anxiety. By learning to let it go, you free yourself from this emotional weight, and your mind finds a greater space for peace. When we cling to the past, it's like carrying a backpack full of stones. Each painful memory, every mistake made, every bad decision is another stone you carry. There comes a point when this backpack becomes so heavy that it affects your ability to enjoy the present. Stoicism teaches us to leave this backpack behind, to learn from mistakes but not to live stuck in them. Seneca brilliantly explained this by saying, "Don't let the past steal the present." And that's exactly what happens when we don't let go of the past. It prevents us from fully living the here and now. Every time our mind gets entangled in the "I should have done this" or "I could have said that," we're wasting the opportunity to live the present moment with serenity. So how can we effectively let go of the past? One of the first steps is to reflect on what's holding you to these memories. Is it a mistake you made? A situation that didn't go as expected? Ask yourself, can I change this now? If the answer is no, then it's time to let it go. This doesn't mean you can't learn from the experience, but once the lesson is extracted, there's no longer a reason to keep carrying this burden. Forgiveness plays a crucial role in letting go of the past, and not just forgiveness towards others, but forgiveness towards yourself. We are often our harshest critics, and the things we can't let go of are the mistakes we've made. But here comes Stoic wisdom. You can't change what you did, but you can decide not to let it haunt you. By forgiving yourself, you free yourself from the weight of remorse and allow your mind to calm down. Epictetus also said something essential. It's impossible to learn if we aren't willing to let go of our mistakes, because clinging to the past keeps you trapped. If you continue living in the mistakes you've made, you'll never be able to move forward to what you can do well now. Learning comes from acknowledging and accepting our mistakes, not from obsessing over them. A useful exercise to help let go of the past is visualization. Imagine these painful memories or mistakes as balloons you're holding in your hands. Visualize yourself slowly releasing these balloons and watching them drift away until they disappear in the distance. It's not about making them completely vanish from your memory, but about stopping holding on to them so tightly. This simple mental act can help you feel lighter and release the emotional burden these memories generate. By learning to let go of the past, you open up space to live the present more fully, allowing your mind to be free from noise and find the tranquility it so desperately seeks. Let's delve into the acceptance of impermanence, one of the central pillars of Stoicism that, while seemingly paradoxical, is the key to living with more presence, gratitude, and serenity. The understanding that everything is temporary, from the circumstances around us to the people we love and ourselves, offers a unique perspective on life. The Stoics remind us that life is a continuous flow of changes. Marcus Aurelius, in his wisdom, said, "Observe how everything that happens is the result of change. Get used to the idea that the universe is change and that your life is what your thoughts make of it." By accepting that nothing is permanent, we free ourselves from the fear of loss, the resistance to change, and the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. This acceptance is not resignation, but rather a form of wisdom. Understanding that everything we have today may not be here tomorrow leads us to value the present more intensely. Each moment becomes precious precisely because it is fleeting. Reflecting on impermanence leads us to live more fully, appreciating what is within our reach now. Think of a candle that, even knowing one day it will go out, illuminates us in the present. If we focus only on the fact that one day the flame will extinguish, we miss out on enjoying its light while it shines. Similarly, by accepting that everything is finite, we become more aware of the beauty and importance of each moment. Stoicism teaches us to embrace this truth with courage, freeing us from the fear of loss. And with that, a deep serenity arises, the understanding that we are not defined by changing circumstances, but by how we choose to live them. Epictetus reminded us, "It doesn't matter what you lose, but what you do with what remains. This principle invites us to reflect on the fragility and preciousness of life. Instead of being guided by the fear of the unknown or attachment to what we can't control, we find strength and inspiration by remembering that each moment is unique. We live with more wisdom, peace, and purpose, guided by a stoic mind that welcomes change and impermanence as an essential part of the human journey. It's an invitation to explore the transformative power of these stoic principles in your daily life. May each day be an opportunity to draw closer to the life you desire. Remember, each new day is a chance to connect with your deepest values and direct your life toward a more fulfilling and meaningful existence. I hope this reflection on impermanence has been valuable for you. It's an important step in the journey of self-knowledge and personal growth. A reminder that serenity lies in accepting the transient nature of life and finding beauty in each fleeting moment. I hope this reflection has been enriching for your journey. I sincerely thank you for dedicating your time and energy to exploring these stoic principles with me. This shows your commitment to personal growth and the desire to live a more fulfilling and conscious life. If you found value in these words, I would love to hear your opinion. Share your thoughts, or simply leave a word of gratitude so I know you were here until the end. If you are not yet part of our community, I invite you to join us. There is much more to discover about Stoicism and how it can be applied in daily life to bring more balance and serenity. Feel free to explore other content I've prepared, filled with Stoic wisdom. Until next time, and may each day be a new opportunity for learning and growth.